Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briar-Greaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. And make sure you give them a call, because if you do, you have a conversation with Briar-Greaves Insurance about how they can help you and your insurance needs, you will automatically be entered into a raffle from Briar-Greaves Insurance to win free Buccaneers tickets with seats in the lower bowl for the Bucs-Falcons Thursday night game in December, which is also the creamsicle game. This team is good. The Falcons looked awful the past couple of weeks, especially yesterday, so this is going to be a game you want to go to. Give Briar-Greaves Insurance a call and be automatically entered into the raffle to potentially win tickets to the Bucs-Falcons creamsicle game on Thursday night later on in the season. Also want to say happy Victory Monday to everybody. Woo! Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 6-2 on the season. They just dismantled the New Orleans Saints 23-3. Jason Light is still out there trolling Cameron Jordan. And while the Bucs are a little bit banged up, they do have a bye week to rest, chill out, and get ready for the home stretch of the season, as we are pretty much halfway through. So let's get rocking and rolling into this show. I'm your host, Matt Matera. Joined with me is the face that runs the place at PewterReport.com, SR, Scott Reynolds. Scott, have you calmed down a little bit from your epic all-time rant on the referees from last night's show?
No, I got pretty worked up this morning writing that, I guess it was last night after the podcast, the 2-point conversion, and then had to answer a question about it in the Bucs mailbag. And so I got worked up again. It has really pissed me off. Just, again, there's nothing to do with me losing my $5 prop bet. Extra $255, sure, why not? But I'm just more pissed for Antoine Winfield Jr., because you see what's happened to Lavonte David, and he's got an uphill climb to get into the Bucs Ring of Honor, and Simeon Rice still trying to get in the Bucs Ring of Honor. It's true. It took John Lynch and Rondé Barber. They were not shoe-ins, right, to get into the Bucs Ring. And I'm sorry, I'm
Hall of
Fame,
Bucs Ring
of Honor. Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Rondé's shoe-in for the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, exactly. Hall of Fame. And we feel like Winfield is already kind of in the Bucs Ring of Honor. So was Lavonte David, right? But they want the gold jacket, and I want to see him get the gold jacket. And when you have these committees that kind of look down on smaller markets, or just they don't have the oxygen that is given to these big market teams like Philly, New York, LA, even some of the storied franchises, Dallas, Green Bay, etc. It's an uphill climb when you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And having Tom Brady in your team helps. Having a Super Bowl ring helps.
Yep.
It's going to be a challenge to get Lavonte David in. It's going to be a challenge to get Simeon Rice in. And I just don't want to see the chain reaction of what should have been a 2-touchdown day for Antoine Winfield Jr. that could have been parlayed into a possible Pro Bowl season, which would ultimately be one more, notch in the belt in terms of possibly getting a gold jacket. To have officials steal that from you is just wrong. And I'm sorry, I firmly believe, and I know that the NFL officials will. And I don't think it's right, because by the letter of the law, a player has to be touched down, right, to be considered down. And if you look at that interception, I'm actually more hot about that than I am the scoop and score, to be honest. Because
interesting,
because there wasn't an inadvertent whistle there, or an erroneous whistle, as Todd Bowles, was told after lobbying for the Winfield touchdown, both of them to stand, but certainly the first one. But I'm more pissed off about the interception upon further review, because if you look at that, he's actually diving and he grabs the ball from Chris Olave, and wrestles it away. And by the time he breaks free of that tug of war with the ball, he's not even touching Olave. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of like rolls on the ground to roll away from Olave. Mm. Olave doesn't touch him. And so to me, what's the difference between him diving for an interception, then getting up and running, and doing the exact same thing? He wasn't touched down by Olave when he was on the ground with possession of the football. And I just think, again, it was just kind of an incompetent call by the officials, but they ruled him down, right? So you can't go back and necessarily say that.
Mhm.
You can reverse the call if they had not ruled him down, right? Because once
Yes.
they rule him down, then the play is over, right? So again, just two very unfortunate mishaps. I'm getting worked up just talking about it, so I'm going to shut my mouth now, Matt, because I don't want a repeat of last night's
Yeah,
epic rant.
I'm not trying to
I know.
bring up more issues in that
Yeah.
sense, but I still do feel like it is a prevalent story. It's not something
Yeah.
that we're just trying to like build up drama for no reason. But there was more information that came out because there was the pool report from the officials, and then we spoke to Todd Bowles again today as well. And I thought it was very interesting because again, and we spoke about this a little bit, and I would recommend to everybody check it out. It's very early into the podcast. It's within like the first 5 minutes of yesterday's show. If you didn't get a chance to watch yet, it's also on our social media, so you could check it out there as well. But Bowles was asked today, like, did you get any more information about the erroneous whistle, which he said that was the term, the usage that the ref said to him. And he said, absolutely not. And like, that's the only way that Todd Bowles can kind of answer that with like a little more oomph, a little more kind of like, hey, F you, but I don't want to get fined. But again, because he is going to get fined for saying something like that.
Which honestly, can we just say this? It's the absolute most chicken shit, draconian thing that the NFL can possibly do. Oh, you can't criticize a ref.
How dare you? Yeah.
That disturbs the integrity of the game. Well, you know what disturbs the integrity of the game more? Erroneous calls, inadvertent whistles and stuff. Just like, I know that by the Constitution, the First Amendment protects your free speech from government tyranny, right? This is not government tyranny, although Roger Goodell kind of acts like a king at some point, right? Up in his castle in New York. But to me, I just think that's wrong, right? Because what's the difference between having a coach or a player come out just because they work for the league? And here's the thing: if you're the NFL, right? Are you more interested in protecting your full-time employees or your part-timers? Because honestly, that's what NFL officials are. They're part-timers, right? But they're putting part-time employees ahead of players and coaches that build their sport. Guess what? Nobody wants to come see officials officiate. Okay? No. That's not why people pay money to go to games and we tune in. I don't want to see the officials. I want to see the players play. I don't want to know
the refs' names.
Exactly.
Why do we know all the refs' names? I don't even know the refs' names.
With John Hussey and his resting bitch face, I don't need to know his name. But my whole thing is this: it irks me how here we are in 2025, and there have been all these rule changes. But I think one that really needs to change is I think players and coaches should be able to, and maybe there's some parameters like you're not able to use profanity directed towards that, but to not even be able to really truly question or challenge a call without calling in the integrity of the officials, that's a bunch of BS. I think that's wrong, and I would love to see that changed, because what's the difference of me and you and media members and literally millions of football fans, not just Tampa Bay fans, but there are other blown calls in every game, right?
Yes.
What's the difference between having millions of people take to X and social media and blast officials, but yet the players and the coaches can't, and they're the ones that are being directly affected by this the most? I think that's wrong. It's cowardly is really what it's cowardly. It's a cowardly policy by the NFL.
And on top of that, like a lot of times we'll tweet at NFL officiating. I look at their account today. They haven't posted since 2023. So like they don't even care about, their own account and holding up their own integrity of the game. And the thing is, it was two separate plays from Antoine Winfield Jr. Common themes of takeaways for Antoine Winfield Jr. when he goes into the end zone. And while they were different plays, the theme is the same. Let it play out.
Yes.
What is so difficult about letting it play out? And then you get this pool report, and it came from someone that covers the Saints, and they asked all the right questions. I believe it was Luke Johnson was his name. But the ref is essentially just like, we thought we heard an inadvertent whistle,
Yeah.
and that was it.
It
And that was
came
it.
from the
So,
other
like,
side of the field. Well, that was the question that should have been asked. And trust me, there are plenty of
right.
times I'll leave a press conference and I'll say, "Crap, I forgot to ask that," or "Damn it,
Yeah.
I should have followed up with that."
Yeah, I'm not
So
blaming the reporter anyway.
exactly, but the logical question was, who blew the whistle?
Yes.
Who was the official on the crew that blew the whistle? Like that should
Right.
be identified. The person should be identified there.
And
if the official, if the head referee says, "Well, we're not going to name names,"
sure.
That's just more chicken shit. That's just more cowardly behavior then, and it just irks the shit out of me. Sorry.
It is.
Sorry, I'm swearing. I'm going to stop swearing because I got you.
I'm going to find
myself.
The report was conducted by Luke Johnson of the New Orleans Times, Picayune Advocate, who did the pool report with Ronald Torbert, who was the guy who was in front of everything. And, to add on top of it a little bit more, we can't go out and ask Antoine Winfield Jr. and some of the players. I mean, we can be like, what'd you think of that call? What'd you think of that call? But if they say anything kind of wrong, I mean, or not even wrong, but like they say anything that's newsworthy, we're going to say, hey, Antoine Winfield Jr. said this about the officiating, and then that's where they get fined. And then it becomes a Marshawn Lynch situation where no one wants to talk to us, and they're just going to say, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So it's a little bit of like a spinning wheel and moving parts. What I will say is that because there was such bad officiating all across football, someone yesterday was talking about the Giants-Eagles game with the tush push. I watched that. That was egregious by the refs as well. Kayvon Thibodeau, who we talked about on the show, ripping the ball out from Jalen Hurts. I was watching some clips from Pro Football Talk, and I know we have some different opinions with Mike Florio and Chris Sims, but Chris Sims was talking about this, about how the NFL has a legit problem. So I like the fact that we see a little bit more of national pundits talking about the bad officiating, because that's got to be the way to get more attention to everybody, and hopefully it trickles into the NFL front offices as well. It takes more people speaking up about the bad officiating. And it's one thing when it's fans.
Why are we saying all this? Because we want a better product.
Yes.
We want the best possible product, right? I want good, clean, competent officiating to where every call matches what actually happened, right? And listen, nobody's perfect. We're all human beings.
Sure.
Like, I get that. There are going to be mistakes, but at the same time, there has to be better mechanisms in place to prevent some of these situations from happening again, right? Where, like, for example, at the end of the day, I truly believe with instant replay, the whole premise of instant replay is what, Matt? To get it right, to take another look at it and legitimately try to make the right call, right? So if that's the case, maybe you sit there and look at it and say, you know what? There was an inadvertent whistle, but upon further review, we looked at this and there were Saints players running after Winfield. Damn, the ref closest to the play was running right alongside Winfield to call the touchdown, right down the sidelines. And the play should have stood because the inadvertent whistle did not affect the play. Like that's a legitimate. The Saints fans probably wouldn't have liked that, right? Because I mean, they benefited from the inadvertent whistle more than anybody.
Got 3 points out of it. I mean, the way that it all kind of went down with Baker's fumble not long ago.
So to me, it's like I wish they could get it right. In my Kansas State Wildcats, we lost at Baylor. Our quarterback, Avery Johnson, threw a bomb to Jace Brown. He caught the ball, and at about the 20-yard line, it was like a deep pass. About the 20-yard line, a Baylor defender grabbed him by the face mask and literally ripped his helmet off. Okay. And then he continued on and scored the touchdown. But the problem is in college football, if your helmet comes off, the play is automatically dead. So instead of getting the touchdown, because the guy fell down with the helmet, and our receivers running, if you do the right thing, you sit there and say, you know what, that's a touchdown. We're going to give you a touchdown. There's nobody else around. The defender fell down with the helmet in his hand, and that's what should have happened. So I'd love to see some instant replay with some human context here, instead of these rules being so draconian and so cut and dry and saying, well, if this, then that. Like, did it really affect the play? Right. Because how many times have we seen a backside holding play, whether it's a Buccaneer doing the holding?
I mean, Bucs, Jets.
Exactly, right? And it truly doesn't affect the play. And outside of that officiating crew in that game, Matt, then let it slide. Why? Because it didn't really affect the play. Did it happen? Yeah. But what's the old saying? You can throw holding penalties on every play.
Yeah. You could do this for every sport. There needs to be like a common sense clause. Like, well, the rules say this, but like, I don't know, use common sense. Look at the actual context of the play and maybe let's kind of figure it out from there. But there's still a lot of good news with the Bucs. Just kind of want to put a bow on the officiating conversation because the Bucs were able to get through it. They ended up winning the game. I do hope that bad officiating doesn't hurt the Bucs later on this season, but just wanted to kind of get into that one last time. But there's still a lot to like with this team. The Bucs are 6-2. They destroyed the Saints. Loved what Jason Light was doing after. Just constantly going after Cameron Jordan. But you know what?
I
don't feel bad because Cameron Jordan started it.
That's right.
You want to start and call out the Bucs. And that's the other thing is, a lot of Saints fans are always like, the Bucs aren't our rival. We're not rivals. Are you kidding me? And then like one of your star players is the one constantly chirping, taking jabs at the Bucs. So like, I don't know. You can't have it. You can't have it both ways. But Cameron Jordan started, and Jason Light is the one to
finish it
over the top with it. So that to finish it too. So that was fun to see.
Yeah, I love that. We are going to do it's Victory Monday. We're going to do a roll call in just a minute here, which I'm excited about because let's face it, it's our favorite part of Monday's show to find out where y'all Pewter people are listening and watching the show from. I do have a bit of a special announcement though, because this is the bye week, and so you might figure, all right, well, what are you guys going to do on Wednesday? Because that's your preview podcast. Well, we're actually not going to preview anything. We're going to kind of go back in time a little bit, if you'll allow us. And what better person to kind of go back in time with than the legendary Bucs head coach, Bruce Arians. That's right. Bruce Arians will be joining us on Wednesday's podcast. Now, caveat, Bruce is a busy man, even in quote unquote retirement. He's on Pat McAfee. He's doing all these media appearances. This will be a 3 p.m. Eastern time show. So not at 4 o'clock, our usual time. We have to accommodate Bruce, and we're happy to accommodate.
Yes, we are.
So 3 p.m. on Wednesday, we will have legendary Bucs Super Bowl winning head coach Bruce Arians join us. We're excited to talk to him about the glory days of Tampa Bay and celebrate the Bucs 50th season, and got to kind of get his thoughts as we stroll down memory lane, but also get his thoughts on the present day Todd Bowles driven 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and exactly how far he thinks Tampa Bay can go this year. So this will be a really fun, interesting show. We have some questions already lined up for BA. And, Matt, I used a picture of feisty Bruce.
Yes.
Right. Because we have plenty of pics of him smiling and, he's a handsome devil, and he's smiling, but I love feisty Bruce. I love, swearing BA. And I want to get his thoughts too on if you watch the Bucs game. And hey, this is a player who helped draft Antoine Winfield Jr., right?
That's right.
Winfield helped him win a Super Bowl. So I want to get his thoughts on Winfield getting robbed by these officials. And who knows, maybe BA's rant will be more epic than mine from last night.
When we got word that Bruce Arians was coming on the show, that's one of the first things I thought of is, he's definitely going to have an opinion on the officiating, especially, in that game with a guy, that he helped draft and become a Super Bowl champion and make him a Super Bowl champion head coach as well. So very, very excited to have Bruce Arians on the show. Maybe that's why we've been cussing a little bit more because we knew BA is coming on the show.
We're prepping for the show, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love interviewing Todd. I think Todd has gotten so much better, as an interview. And not that that's his main job. His main job is to win games. But there's nothing like doing a press conference with Bruce Arians. He's as blunt as a head coach can possibly be in the NFL, or could possibly be in the NFL. And just a super fun guy to talk to. He was at the 50-year anniversary when they brought back all players and coaches for that Bucs-Jets game. So, definitely would love to go down memory lane with him about his time coaching the Bucs, winning a Super Bowl. And Mike, you mentioned, get his thoughts on this year's team because he's still watching football and doing a lot of great stuff. So super, super pumped to have BA on the show on Wednesday. Yeah.
Well, it's that time, and we're super, super pumped to do this little thing we do on Mondays, and it's always better on Victory Mondays at 420 called
Roll Call. That's right, folks. We love doing roll call because we love our fans, our Pewter people. We have fans from all across the globe. We appreciate each and every one of you. And one way we like to interact with our fans is through a roll call, where one of us will go on a conversation about your favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in the meantime, if you want to put in the chat where you're watching the show from, we will put it up on the screen like Trevor from Apopka, and then we'll give a couple of personal shout outs as well. So, yeah,
believe it or not, Matt, I've got another rant. I'd like to
love
go
it.
on, if that's okay. All right. So the rant today is not going to be an R-rated rant, I promise. Why? Because I'm going to be talking about the one and only Todd Bowles, and going to give Todd some props because he has done a fantastic job shepherding this team through all these injuries to a 6-2 record. Listen, Buccaneer fans, they would have loved to have knocked off the Lions on Monday night. I know some of you still disappointed with that. I get it. But listen, hopefully there's a rematch in the playoffs, and maybe that game is more meaningful. Maybe there's a more meaningful outcome for this team. But the job that Todd Bowles has done, has there been any game management questions that have arisen in your mind? I really can't think of any. There was a 2-point conversion he went for, right? And it was Seattle. That may be the only questionable call. So the job that Todd Bowles has done, from getting better in terms of being a game manager with the timeout usage, with the clock management, throwing the red flag, not throwing it for the challenges, I think he's done a sensational job. And that gives me a lot of hope for this team in the postseason. And the fact that he had the wherewithal to hire Zach Beislein and get better in that area is just fantastic. He's been a kingmaker, right, in terms of finding offensive coordinators, from Dave Canales to Liam Cohen and Josh Grizzard. I know the fans probably not thrilled with Josh Grizzard's play calling, especially in the low red zone, the goal to go area, and yesterday's game that resulted in the Bucs getting stuffed a lot, down there by the goal line. I can't fault the play calls per se, because when it's mano a mano down there and you need 1 yard, you got to believe in your offensive line. And when you get 9 shots at it and you only come away with 1 touchdown, to me, that's on the offensive line more than it is the play caller. But I do like the fact that Todd Bowles has done a good job of bringing Josh Grizzard along. These were a couple of hiccup games, but you know what? Josh Grizzard from week 1 has been dealing with not even close to being a full deck. He's literally dealing with a weak hand in terms of having about half of the starters on offense out. Hopefully Bucky Irving comes back. Hopefully Luke Edeke, Chris Godwin Jr. come back. They join the likes of Tez Johnson and Cade Otton and Emeka Ibuka. And then down the road, you've got Jalen McMillan coming back, and hopefully that helps out with the offense. But I just think Todd Bowles deserves an awful lot of credit for getting his side of the ball right, which is the defensive side. The Bucs are 3rd in sacks in terms of 25 now, and they've been on a heater.
Yeah.
15 sacks over the last 3 games. It's an average of 5 per game. That's really good stuff. And we're seeing, even without Kalijah Kancey and Hassan Reddick, they're still able to get to the quarterback, pressure the quarterback, create takeaways. They're +7 now in the turnover margin. And remember, they were the only team in the playoffs last year that were in the minus in that category. The only playoff team. And I want to say, I think the Bucs were -4 last year, if my memory serves me correctly. Now they're +7. It's a huge swing right there. Part of it is Baker Mayfield doing a better job protecting the football this year, no doubt about it. But we've seen this defense feast on the takeaways. And this is something that I think this team is kind of feeling right now. They're being super aggressive. They're punching the ball out. They're ripping the ball away. They're being really aggressive with how they play, and it's making a huge difference. And we're seeing that. And my last point is, Matt, when you're the head coach, but you're also the defensive play caller, you're kind of in the spotlight, right? Because you got the job because of your defensive play calling prowess, right? Your defense should be the best unit on the team. And last year, it really wasn't. Injuries took their toll, and it really was the offense that wore the superhero cape all season long. Now we're seeing more complementary style of football. When the defense is having a rough game like they did in Seattle, this offense can just line up and drop 38 points. And when the offense isn't showing up like they really didn't In New Orleans, the defense can manufacture points and create takeaways. So I like where this Bucs team is at 6-2. Todd Bowles deserves an absolutely ton of credit for that, in my opinion.
You're 100% right. He deserves all the credit, all the praise that he should be getting. Just moved past Bruce Arians on the all-time wins list,
right.
so it's probably something we could talk about with BA on Wednesday's show as well. And Todd Bowles has caught a lot of flack in different moments for different reasons. I mean, you brought up the game management. I think you're spot on with that. There really hasn't been any issues there. And I can't help but think, and I like Josh Broussard, and I think he's doing a solid job. But, man, could you imagine if you had Liam Cohen calling the plays? Like pretty much last year's offense with this year's defense.
Oh, yeah.
And what they've been doing. I mean.
They might be undefeated.
I was thinking they might be 8-0, maybe 7-1. And something like that. And it's so unique the way that they are getting it done with the turnovers and especially the sacks. Like you mentioned, third in the league in sacks with 25. And Yaya Diaby has 4, and he's the main guy. So you're like, for example, the Cleveland Browns, I know they're not a good team.
Yeah.
They lost to the Patriots yesterday. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks alone for the Cleveland Browns. That's more than anyone on the Bucs have all season. They're getting it done in so many different ways. And then another part of me was like, all right, well, you know, they got 5 sacks against the Saints. They're a bad team. They're a local team. But they got 6 sacks against the 49ers just a couple of weeks ago. They're a pretty good team. I know they lost to the Texans yesterday, but, you know, they're a perennial team when healthy that is competing for a Super Bowl and have played in 2 Super Bowls over the last, 5 years. So the blitzes are working. The strength of the secondary with Jacob Parrish in the slot and Jamel Dean playing his best football kind of gets overlooked that he forced that fumble on the controversial Antoine Winfield Jr. play. Zion McCollum is playing well. I'm not saying he's playing great, but obviously he's going to be here for a while, so he's a big part of the picture. And then this fantastic safety tandem with Winfield and Tyke Smith, I think it's really opening up everything else on this team. It's allowing these great, Vita Vea is obviously fantastic. It's allowing Anthony Nelson, I know it's his first game starting, but to go out and show why he's been around here for a while and the Bucs want to re-sign him. And then on top of that, with all the creativity getting to the quarterback, you're getting help from a lot of the youth as well. Benjamin Woods has been good, and Jacob Parrish has been good. I'm becoming more of a fan of Elijah Roberts game in and game out with what he's able to do, really being the next guy after Vita Vea. And to that point, he was kind of neck and neck with Logan Hall for the past couple of games. Not anymore. He has blown by Logan Hall. Elijah Roberts played 48 snaps out of the 72. That's 67% of the snaps. That was the second most among defensive linemen. Actually, no, that was more than Vita Vea.
More than Vita Vea,
blowout and stuff like that. But Logan Hall only played 39% of the snaps. It probably says more about Logan Hall than Elijah Roberts. But I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from Elijah Roberts.
I am too.
And you got to think Elijah Cansey's going to be back next season, maybe even for a playoff run later on. But
I don't think Logan Hall will.
Yeah, but they've really found something with this defense, and I think it's going to be more sustainable against all teams, not just feeding on the bad teams and picking the bones. And I think that game against San Fran a couple of weeks ago is a good example.
No, I think you're right. And, you mentioned the safety duo of Tyke Smith and Antoine Winfield Jr. And Tyke's really made a lot of plays, right? He's got 2 sacks this year and is the leading tackler on this team. But, Matt, when you and I think it was your question actually in the offseason, maybe it was the combine, about moving Tyke Smith to safety. I want to say it was your question that kind of elicited the first, because we speculated about it. We talked about it in the offseason about, what would it be if you had Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith, both of those playmakers on the field at the same time. And Todd Bowles like, that's exactly what we want to do. So kudos to you, Matt, for a great question. But and obviously great minds think alike, because Tyke went to Bowles and said, hey, nickel's fun, but like I'm on the field 75% of the time, and I want Jordan Whitehead's job, and he got it. And now we're seeing that. We're seeing this 1-2 punch at safety where either one of those guys is capable of getting an interception, forcing a fumble, recovering a fumble, getting a sack, making that clutch tackle. And it's great because Jordan Whitehead re-signing with the Bucs was met with a lot of fanfare. And honestly, last year, that was probably one of the absolutely most disappointing instances last year was that Whitehead was not that guy. He wasn't even the guy that he was when he was here the first go around, helping this team win a Super Bowl. He just kind of was a shell of his former self. So that's been a huge upgrade at the strong safety position,
Yes.
having him there. And then as good as Tyke has played, two different players, right? And Jacob Parrish and Tyke Smith. But Jacob Parrish, I mean, he had two back-to-back tackles at the line of scrimmage on wide receiver screens, and he is a sure tackler. He goes for the legs and just takes out the legs and in his clutch. And it's only a matter of time before he gets an interception. With his speed, it might be a pick six for him when he gets it wherever he is on the field.
Yeah, the tackling was so much better in this game than it was against the Lions, on the previous Monday game where a lot of tackles were broken, and that's why you saw like Jahmyr Gibbs pop off for a big run. So, I thought the Bucs did a great job just kind of cleaning everything up,
Yeah.
I think we got to see with this Bucs offense, they're definitely opportunistic. It's way different this year in terms of taking the ball away, a lot of forced fumbles, a lot of interceptions as well. But if they're not getting the takeaways, they sort of have a little bit of a bend but don't break type of defense where
that's fair.
Like quarterbacks will get a lot of passing yards against the Bucs, like better quarterbacks than what the Saints have. But then they're getting the job done when it's crunch time and when, hey, we got to hold them to a field goal versus a touchdown. They're pretty good, right when the team just gets over midfield, when they're between the 50 and their own 40. That's when they really put the pedal to the metal. And I know it's not perfect and it's not fantastic, but that's how this defense, is going to roll.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks may rack up a ton of yards, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Bucs only have 2 losses, so it's a system that's been working.
Yeah,
and Todd
yards,
Bowles,
as Todd Bowles has told me before in his office, yards don't beat you, points do, and that's all he cares about is you get all the yards you want, but holding teams out of the end zone that's the key, and sometimes ending drives with takeaways. That's the way to do it. We had a great turnout from what I saw. I was going on a rant, and we had a lot of people in here. So. Tell us about who's here in the chat today.
Yes, we did. Appreciate everybody for joining us today. Had some international, had some around the United States as well. So we'll start with Josh Lewis watching from Tucson, Arizona. Says, go Bucs, 6-2. Brew Tender 13, Birmingham, Alabama. Go Bucs.
There we go.
Bucs guy watching from Kentucky. James Tolson from Tulsa, Oklahoma, #BoomerBuck. That's cool to see.
There we go. Yeah.
Kingdom Disciple watching from Dallas, Texas. E-Rich watching from Valley Stream, New York. Shout out Long Island.
There you go.
Ezo813 residing in Lakeland. And Rich Suggs watching from Northport, Florida. So I saw Canada, Sweden in there as well. So great turnout all over. Roll call is great every week. A little bit more fun when it's a Victory Monday in season. But thank you so much, everyone, for participating, joining, and making this show so much fun.
And we have some super chats to get to, so let's get into some of those.
Yes, some super chats and memberships. Zap Brannigan has now been a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 9 months, so appreciate all your support.
Thank you very much.
Says, years Bucs started 6-2, 1979 NFC Championship, 2002 Super Bowl, 2020 Super Bowl, 2021 divisional round, 2025 TBD.
I know.
I like those stats. That's pretty good.
Special seasons right there. Yeah. For sure.
Hezo813 has gifted 5 Pewter Report memberships. So thank you so much for that, Hezo. We appreciate you. Saw some people thanking Hezo in the comments as well. So thank you for your generosity. Drillman32 with a $5 super chat. Thank you. I got a kick out of this one earlier. I'm just telling people the score was 37-3. I refuse to tolerate us getting slammed by officiating every time. I think that's part of the problem, too, is that it comes off the heels of all the chicanery that went on against the Lions where they got a double review and all that stuff. So it's back-to-back things that have really hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It wasn't just like an outlier with what happened.
You're right. Yeah, well said.
Marcos, thank you for this $1.99 super chat. Says, so second looks only apply to opposing teams, huh?
Yeah. a little bit of a Bucs bias there, I think, right? I mean, yeah, the Bucs didn't get any second looks, I mean, and that's kind of what I was, talking about to begin the show is like, if you want to get the calls right, there has to be some kind of human element in this. What's the context of this? It can't be by the letter of the law, like all of the time, right? Where if again, it looked to me on the televised replay, and Fox even replayed it without the announcers talking, and they said
Yeah.
we didn't hear a whistle, right? Like, okay, so if that's the case, and you have the official closest to the play, he certainly didn't blow the whistle. He's running right down the field with Winfield. The Buccaneers have a convoy, right? They're escorting him to the end zone. There's Saints players running after Winfield. Why can't you go back and say, yeah, an erroneous whistle blew, but it didn't affect the play? Touchdown, right. Tampa Bay. Like, that's the right thing to do. And that's what should have been done.
And also, like, again, there wasn't any whistle that was heard. I do wonder, what if it was like the back ref furthest away from the play that sees Winfield? Because a lot of times the refs will like have the whistle in their mouth just to prepare in case something happens. What if, like, I don't know, he saw Winfield and he's like, oh crap, and he like then coughed, and then his cough like inadvertently blew the whistle or something like that.
Yeah, then he should be fired. How about that? Fire these officials. Get them out of the friggin' game. Fire them. I just think it's wrong. Like, players can lose their jobs in seasons. We've seen head coaches get fired. We've seen coordinators get fired in season. But these officials, nothing happens to them. They're untouchable, and it's a joke.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Cali Bucks, thank you for this $4.99 super chat. Says, speaking of the tush push, is it not incompetent to not have that in our playbook? Discussed as an unstoppable play every week. 4 stops is inexcusable.
I wouldn't put it in the Bucs playbook, not behind this offensive line, not the way they played in that game. I mean, the Saints stoned them, man. I mean, here, take that super chat off here. I mean, let's see who's on the ground, right? Well, see, there's Ben Bredesen, there's Tristan Wirfs, right? Yeah. And I want to say behind the play there, looks like Graham Barton. So yeah, I mean, that's not good when your left side of the line is on the ground and your back is not in the end zone. That's not a good look. I will say this: take Pro Football Focus grades with a grain of salt. The 2 highest graded offensive linemen in this game were Charlie Heck and Dan Feeney, Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan.
Not that they were like A or B graded players, but I want to say they were like hovering around 60 or so. But Ben Bredesen, I think, was the worst graded player, and then Barton, and then Wirfs in that order. So left side of the line, which we think is the strength of this offensive line right now, was not the strength on Sunday. And but I have no doubt that Tristan Wirfs will bounce back. I mean, I think he's already licking his chops, circling the date to play the Saints and Chase Young again on the calendar. So
there have been other teams that they put in a wrinkle to the tush push where it's like not the quarterback that's actually taking the snap, and they'll have like a tight end or something like that. I can envision, and I know he's a good blocker, so maybe you wouldn't use him in this situation, but like I could see Payne Durham taking the snap and doing a QB sneak because he's talking about being a human battering ram for this team. I think Baker, if he's fully healthy, he's obviously fine doing it. I mean, he's smashing his head into his teammates before the game to psych everyone up. So I'm sure Baker wouldn't mind doing it. But yeah, the moral of the story is just get a damn yard. You're 1 yard out.
Just get a yard. Yeah. And you have to get 1 touchdown in 9 tries is pathetic.
Yeah.
Do better.
Okay. Moving on to Dan L. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, maybe we need to rethink the whole concept. Maybe a whistle is the wrong cue to use in a loud, crowded stadium. Can it be accompanied by a visual cue?
I don't know. Haven't really given it a lot of thought what the alternatives would be. That's an interesting question you pose, though. I don't really have anything top of mind, but something's got to be done. I will say this: Todd Bowles is now in the competition committee, so
that's
you
true.
Believe he's going to be bringing this up at the next NFL owners meeting. Listen, this is not one of those instances where like Todd Bowles can literally litigate this and bring in legal representation to help
Todd
fight
Bowles
his
versus
cause.
the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. So we already have John Gruden versus the NFL.
That is true. Yes,
Maybe
there's
we
the
should have
history of
Todd Bowles
Bucs
versus the
coach.
NFL. And I don't know that this is necessarily their line of legal expertise, but I do know that the good folks over at Jorgensen's Law would probably be happy to take on Todd Bowles and help Tampa Bay because they're huge fans.
Welcome to Jorgensen Law PA, where our family's legacy drives us to fight for your rights. Specializing in personal injury, workers' compensation, and Social Security, we're committed to winning for you. No fees unless we succeed. Trust in our family to help yours. Let's achieve justice together.
That's right. The good folks over at Jorgensen Law, Sharon and her sons Spencer and Grady, they're huge Tampa Bay fans, and they want to help you. If you need legal representation in the areas of personal injury, Social Security, or workers' comp, give them a call. They are the champions of the injured and disabled over in St. Petersburg, just around the bend there. If you are in the Hillsborough side, just across the bridge, get a free case evaluation and no fees until they win. That's right. So why not give them a call? If you are in need of legal help, they're the number one go-to source here at Pewter Report. 727-347-7733. That's 727-347-7733. Or visit them on the web at jorgensenlawoffice.com.
Yeah, now I'm thinking like, okay, what if they did like 3 whistles instead of just 1 whistle? Because like the visual thing, you got players looking for other stuff. So it's like, how you supposed to have eyes on the quarterback?
Right.
Like the ref's going like, or whatever the ref would be doing. So, but I do like the idea of just trying to come up with other
I agree.
concepts. Khalif Young, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Says, do we sign Brandon Johnson to the practice squad, and can we move Devin Culp to split end?
Interesting thought about Devin Culp. I think he's more of a tight end than he is a wide receiver per se.
Yeah,
but it is interesting because I mean he does have like 4.4 speed. I think it's 4.47 is what he ran.
Yeah,
but I don't know that he's a wide receiver. I think he's a tight end. As far as Brandon Johnson, I believe that was the receiver that they signed on the practice squad.
Yeah.
So they have another receiver there. Right now the hope is that you get Chris Godwin back, and then you've got Godwin and Emeka Egbuka, Sterling Shepard, Tez Johnson, and Cam Johnson. I'm kind of with you, Matt. I liked what I saw from Cam Johnson, the wide receiver. I'm kind of shocked these last 2 games.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten a look after really having a great game against the 49ers.
So I wrote about it in the snap count today, which comes out the day after every Bucs. I actually wrote about a little bit about Devin Culp too, but I'm very surprised with Cameron Johnson. He ended up with just 6 snaps and 10% of the snaps. Again, this was a guy that led the team in receiving, 2 games ago, 3 games ago? And they're not even giving him the opportunities now.
Right.
And I don't know, it's kind of coincided with 2 poor performances from the offense overall, just based on what they had been doing beforehand. So I'm all for seeing more Cameron Johnson. And I don't think they're just kind of like limiting him because he's their primary punt and kick returner. I'm not saying he's got to play 88% of the snaps like Emeka Egbuka or 71% like Tez Johnson. Put him off of 45%. I don't see what the issue is there. It's not like Sterling Shepard is going to pop up here and there. Sterling Shepard had 1 catch for 8 yards, and it was on a screen. It was a manufactured play. Ryan Miller's in there to block. Yes, he'll pop up every now and then with a touchdown like he did against the Texans. But as far as like moving the ball down the field, making plays, after Emeka Egbuka and obviously your stars with Mike and Chris, they're the next 2 guys that have like been playmakers for this team, excluding the running backs and stuff like that. And as far as Devin Culp goes, if Chris Godwin's able to come back, maybe you don't really think about this as much, but I'm all for getting Devin Culp involved a little bit more. He showed something, and I mean in the passing game. Payne Durham's going to be your main blocker, and Kate Otten obviously can do a little bit of both. But he showed that he can make some plays as a receiving tight end at the end of last season. And with the team kind of struggling a little bit offensively, I think you might have to look at it like another type of outlier. Maybe Devin Culp is that guy. We want to see more pony package. They didn't run any pony package, with 2 running backs. So Josh Grizzard has shown creativity this season, We haven't really seen it too much in the last 2 games.
I agree, and we need to see more of that, and it's a good chance to have some self-scouting over this particular weekend. And yes, I just banned Princess in the chat, so sorry about that. Every once in a while we have an a-hole in here, and apparently we had one. So, but he has been flushed away. So there we go.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
You're out of
here. I will say this. I don't know about where you guys are right now, but it's raining up here in Wesley Chapel. But have you looked at the forecast that's coming up this week? It's going to be absolutely gorgeous, sunny, and temperatures highs in the 70s. It's going to be beautiful. This weekend was beautiful. And having said that, why don't you get out and do some golf, right? Play some golf. It's beautiful weather here in Florida. The humidity's pretty much gone, although today kind of was humid because the rain was coming. But next weekend, there's no Bucs game. And it will be a fantastic time for you to try Heritage Isles Golf and Country Club if you haven't. They are a 4.5-star Golf Advisor ranked course, ranked in the top 3 best value courses in the Tampa St. Petersburg. That means not that expensive. So for tee times, give them a call, 813-907-7447 up here in the new Tampa area. Fantastic golf course, great people over there, great pro shop. It is a country club, but they also have, they're open to the public. So if you want a membership, they can do that for you, or you can just, come and get a foursome and play, or just you and your buddy. So it's a great course. Make this week the week that you try Heritage Isles Golf and Country Club. Again, visit them on the web at Heritage Isles Golf and Country Club, or call them for tee times, 813-907-7447.
Moving back to these super chats. Thank you to Bucs fan since Leroy 63 for this $5 super chat. How close is Anthony Nelson to challenging Hassan Reddick for the starting edge slot or spot?
Well, I'll say this. And Matt, you have covered this team long enough to know that Todd Bowles has an affinity for Anthony Nelson, right? I mean, he loves Nelly. He's a high IQ football player. He's a heady football player. He loves Nelly. And I think he brags. He's like, he still to this day has yet to be fooled on a bootleg. Not sure about that, coach, but that's his go-to line. He loves Anthony Nelson. He's going to go with the hot hand. And as I put out on X yesterday, right after the pick 6 by Nelly, I've seen more big plays and splash plays in less than a half from Anthony Nelson than I have all year from Hassan Reddick. And that's no diss on Reddick. That's just telling the truth. Yeah. And you add in another sack. He finished with 2. I mean, why not keep this guy in the starting lineup? I'm not expecting this week after week, Matt, but we've seen Anthony Nelson make big plays at big times for this team. Maybe he gets on a little bit of a heater here and heats up.
That's true. I mean, if Anthony Nelson has another game with 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a pick 6, I think he has to be given the starting job regardless. It was an awesome all-time performance. What I would hope to see next, because Bowles sometimes will just he will ride the hot hand, but he'll also just kind of stay loyal to who was starting right away. And that's been another knock on him in his career beforehand, is sometimes he's a little too late to make those personnel adjustments and changes. But as we've seen with some other players, he's making a lot of them this season. They have some tough matchups coming out of the bye. New England, Buffalo, Los Angeles as well, the Rams. I think if Anthony Nelson is able to, again, he's not going to have a performance like he did against the Saints, but the Saints are a 1-win team. If he's able to have another 2-sack game, or make an impact play, get a sack on 3rd down in crunch time or something like that, if it's against a good team, there's got to be very, very serious consideration for at least getting Anthony Nelson more playing time than what he was before Hassan Reddick was out of the lineup. And he has an ankle sprain right now, so we'll kind of see how long he's going to be out for in the first place.
To me, he's got to be the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. I mean, I didn't watch all the games, but I mean, to me, if it's not him, I mean, who's it going to be? Winfield had a chance of being that guy if he would have had 2 scores, but yeah, I think that's certainly a good sign is when you have that distinction. It kind of like catches the let's see here. Oh, good. Hang on one second. I have to reply to this text.
In the meantime, LDBC's most wanted. Thank you for this $1.99 super chat. Says, is Dean a ball hawk all of a sudden? Yeah, he absolutely is. 3 interceptions on the season, a defensive touchdown, and then forced a fumble in that game as well against the Saints that led to the controversial Antoine Winfield Jr. play.
Yeah.
Dean's making a ton of plays. I like this system of Benjamin Morrison comes in for him for a little bit. Maybe it's keeping him a little bit more fresh and avoiding some of those, injuries that have hurt him in the past. And it's getting Benjamin Morrison very valuable experience at the same time. I'm a big time advocate. If it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. I hope Dean has routine every week. I hope he has the same routine on the day of the game, regardless if it's a 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock or a 3 o'clock game, whatever it may be. I wouldn't change a thing with Jamel Dean or this rotation right now because I know the contract for Jamel Dean is playing that football he's never played.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sorry. I'm texting John Gruden right now. We're trying to set up John Gruden to come on the show next week. So
there you go.
All right. It looks like Monday or Tuesday next week. I'm just trying to get with John.
Cool. Bucs fan since Leroy 63. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says fullback Watson, running back Vita Vea. Who needs the tush push? Right? I mean, you're not going to call Desmond Watson just for, to run a goal line type of play. I will say he looks in a lot better shape than, what he was kind of before the season, ever since he's come back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's moving around a little bit more. We're only out to practice for a little bit just because, media only gets 30 minutes to about 45 minutes. It's a lot of special teams. But the thing is, most of the defensive tackles are either on some type of special teams, whether it's field goal or the punt team, or like Vita Vea just goes back inside because he's Vita Vea. So it's usually just like Desmond Watson and Elijah Simmons are like the 2 D linemen that are kind of just like standing around, and then they'll work on some pass rushing stuff. So it's been fun to see Desmond Watson kind of work on some pass rushing moves. I hope we see him at some point this season. Later on, maybe he gets an opportunity to play in a game if the Bucs have everything sealed. So that would be cool.
Okay. Well, just wanted to let everybody know, just as a reminder, we have on Wednesday's show at 3 p.m., different time. We have to do it a little bit early because Bruce has got some commitments at 4 o'clock, so we can't do it at 4. But on Wednesday, special guest, legendary Bucs coach Bruce Arians will join us. And I just got a text from John Gruden. He is in for next Monday at 4 o'clock. So we will have no Victory Monday, but we'll have John Gruden Monday. How
Let's
about
go.
That? So back-to-back coaches here on the Pewter Report podcast. Bruce Arians on Wednesday at 3 p.m. and then John Gruden at 4 o'clock next Monday after the bye week. So that'll be something to look forward to. No Victory Monday, but again, John Gruden Monday. That's a pretty good Monday. So we're excited to have this. Man, this will be 4 legendary Bucs coaches we've had on the Pewter Report podcast this year. Started with Todd Bowles right before the summer break. Then we had Tony Dungy right before the start of the season. Now we'll have Bruce Arians on Wednesday at 3 p.m., followed by John Gruden. Back-to-back Super Bowl winners here on the Pewter Report podcast. So we greatly appreciate that. Also want to give some appreciation to the folks over at Immunity Financial. They've been a long time advertising partner with us. They are the sponsor of the Monday Mailbag. Great people over there, Mark, David, everybody. And they want to help you save enough money for your retirement. And I'll be back after this brief message.
Will your savings last through retirement? Most people plan for 10 years. A retirement can last 30. Healthcare, taxes, market swings, it all adds up. Take our quiz. Check your retirement readiness today. Immunity Financial.
All right, this is a great tool if you want to scan that barcode right there, that QR code. And you can also visit them on the web at immuni.com/retire. It's a 2-minute quiz that will ask you questions about your current finances, how much income you have, how much you have in savings, and it's going to help formulate for you how much money you're going to need for your retirement, to factor in your age and when you want to retire and when you think you're going to retire. It's a great tool to help you. That's what the folks over at Immunity Financial specialize in, giving you financial help that you need now. Maybe it's saving for the kids' college funds, or maybe for later, for retirement, whether it's Immunity financials, annuities, or their stock market help, or their financial tools that they have to help you plan your retirement. The best in the business, local company over here in St. Petersburg that can help you, not just in the Tampa Bay area, not just in the state of Florida, but also across the nation. Give them your business, immunity.com/retire. Start there with that QR code and take that quiz, and you're going to love working with Immunity Financial. I've got a lot of my personal investments with Immunity. I've been a customer of theirs for years.
Awesome. Shout out to Immunity Financial. Got a couple more super chats before we close out the show. Zap Brannigan, thank you for this $2 super chat. Says, let Vita run for 1 yard. I mean, they're making more of a case for getting Vita Vea in a goal situation
I know.
if you're not able to. And he lined up there last season. It's not like Josh Broussard didn't see that. He was here. He was in the building last season when Liam Cohen was doing it. So maybe Josh Broussard will pivot, and maybe his self-scouting will say, we need Vita Vea in the game
Yes.
at fullback. Because
right.
Getting it from the yard wasn't working, so why not?
Yeah, I agree.
And then Sunshine and Lollipops Cat, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, any chatter about the Pats game, so the first game coming out of the bye, being flexed? It would have to be flexed to Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'd have to look
so that
do you have
game,
the schedule up there? Do you know which
so that game,
games
the Sunday Night Football game is the Steelers at the Chargers. I mean, Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, fanfare, Charger. That game will probably stay.
Yeah, it's LA. It's going to stay.
Yeah, LA as well. The next Sunday night game is Lions Eagles. They're not moving that.
Right. Yep.
And then the one after that, the Bucs are already in it against the Rams. So they're probably not going to flex.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then Bucs Basement, thank you for this $2 super chat. Says probability light makes a move with the trade deadline.
I was just on the drive with Tik Raz on WDE before coming on the podcast here, and I'll say the same thing I told Tik Raz. I said, more likely that he makes a move because they're 6-2 rather than 5-3. Last time Light made a move in season at the deadline was in 2020 when they got Steve McClendon to help with Vita Vea, who was on injured reserve with that broken leg. Remember that year, McClendon was a reserve defensive tackle, and the Jets and Bucs swapped late round picks in future years. So it wasn't even like a next year kind of thing. So that if Light makes a move, it's going to be for a day 3 pick for a player. Todd Bowles said it's all going to depend on who's available and for how much. That's the thing. We know Jason Light values the draft picks. So at this point, I don't know. They could use help at inside linebacker, outside linebacker, maybe guard, and then maybe wide receiver right now, right? Those are some problem areas. Has to be the right player for the right level of compensation. And I'm not expecting any big deals. If Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby were available on the market, that's not really Jason Light's MO to trade big time draft picks, like day 2 picks. He's only done that one time. That was a 3rd rounder in 2018 for Jason Pierre-Paul in the offseason on a team that really needed a Jason Pierre-Paul to come in and start. So I think the Bucs would be looking for depth pieces at this point in time. So we shall see, but we had a great turnout today from everybody. Thank you so much. As we have some comments here, BA, PR.
Yeah.
We got Chucky too. That's right. We got both of the
and Coach Gruden.
The coaches getting some. Well, we've had some big time guests on the show in the off season too. If you don't follow us year round, you need to, because we are your draft and free agency go-to source for Bucs information and scoop. But then we also have some players. We had Zion McCollum, Yaya Diaby on the podcast, Jason Light, Todd Bowles, Mike Greenberg. So I have a lot of guests on the show. It's harder to get them in the season per se, but it's great when we have Tony Dungy. Now Bruce Arians coming on Wednesday at 3:00, and then John Gruden Monday at 4:00. So very excited about that.
Yes, and Roger Price has just become a Pewter Report YouTube channel member for 2 months. So thank you,
That is
so
awesome.
much for your support. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And also need to say thank you to all of our Pewter Platinum members. We appreciate each and every one of you for your support. So thank you to Scott Federico, Scotty J, Rayful Gordon, Noah Parr, Dave Anderson, Eric McMillan, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel L. Rican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zap Brannigan, RP89, Connor Four Reels, Kevin Thomas, Mario Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, The Guy is Gifted, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucs, The Real Maverick, Brayon Pinkney, Brian Shucker, Black Gold 1999, Stephen Zool, King James 813, and Brian Green. Thank you, everybody, for your support of Pewter Report TV.
That's awesome. It's a bye week. We're still having content all week long on pewterreport.com. We'll have our PR roundtable tomorrow. We've got a ton of content up today. Matt's written a couple stories, so have I. Adam Slavon has his top 10 takeaways video up on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. Check that out. Tomorrow morning, I'll have Bucs Bright Side with hopefully that'll do better than last week's because nobody wanted to relive that Lions loss, or I should say the Lions defeating the Buccaneers, the Bucs loss. But that'll be out tomorrow on Pewter Report TV, so check that out as well.
That's right. So keep on tuning in to Pewter Report TV. Lots and lots of content, as Scott just mentioned, and check out pewterreport.com. If you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video as well, how you're feeling about your 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Reminder, Bruce Arians at 3 o'clock, not 4, 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and we are very excited for his appearance on the show. So until then, for Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.